Hi, welcome back to Live and Breathe Horses and our Words of Wisdom series, which our current one is Horses and Their Riders with Master Nuno Oliveira. Today we're on chapter 1, which is the choice of a horse. And I've decided, sometimes with these series, my idea was to kind of sum up, give my ideas and chat generally about the things. But I find with his books, it's so condensed what he says, everything is relevant. So there's nothing to sum up. It's just like, you just want to reproduce it all. So that's where we're going with this one. And okay. Of course, the choice of a horse must first be a love affair. Well, what better start than that? How else are we going to choose our horse? When I choose a horse, I first look to see if I like its general appearance, its beauty and the expression of its eyes. I like that one as well, that's where I always go. I look at him through half-closed eyes as he's led in hand towards me to see if the general appearance is well-rounded. Finally, I look more closely at all of his gaits and then his legs. I always prefer to buy a horse that's not too well nourished because being thin, I can see its defects better as well as seeing how he will develop later on. I'm more interested in the form of the canter rather than seeing a trot with too great an extension. The trot can be improved more easily than a naturally bad canter. I watch how the back functions in all gaits. The back is the bridge between the fore and hind legs and the part that carries the rider's weight. Observe the state of mind of the horse while it moves without being excited or pushed, and observe how the neck and the withers are attached. In every breed of horse, one finds both good horses and bad horses. Some breeds have a greater number of horses which are more appropriate for one thing or another. But in all breeds, one finds good qualities of gait, balance and strength among many individuals. Of course, due to its lack of conformation, being high at its withers and to its great lateral suppleness, the Iberian horse is more apt to stay on its haunches and to turn on a shorter base than more breeds. Did I mess that up? Due to its conformation, being high at its wither and its great lateral suppleness. The extension of the gaits are less pronounced in the Iberian horse than in some other breeds. However, there are some Iberian horses that do have good extensions. In the thoroughbred, there are different types. One also finds in a certain type of thoroughbred some horses well adapted to lower their haunches and which by their natural energy are able to become wonderful horses of haute école, of high school dressage. The drama is that in most cases in Europe, one sees thoroughbreds cast off the racetrack that have been trained too young and do not have a healthy back, and even sometimes have compacted vertebrae. In the United States, where they breed thoroughbreds to be saddle horses, one sees some wonderful thoroughbreds. In New Zealand, where they start racing thoroughbreds only when they are 3 years old, I have also seen some excellent horses. In Latin countries, where jumping is more popular than dressage, one is ready to pay more money for a jumping horse, but many of these subjects would make very good dressage horses. Speaking of thoroughbreds, one must observe that the racing horses we can buy for dressage are seldom the winners. I remember a few years ago, while attending the races at the racetrack of Lima in Peru, watching thoroughbreds prancing before the start of the race, I watched those who had the most ability to round their backs, and by coincidence, they were always the winners. An excess of sensitivity in the horse must not be confused with the real finesse that a horse of haute école must have. When horses are too highly strung, it is always due to a lack of strength. I have trained some horses like this that have fascinated me, but the result of the training, although brilliant, is less valid than with a stronger horse. The degree of finesse of a horse must also be related to the degree of finesse of the rider's aids. Of course, I have seen small people ride big horses, as well as big people ride small horses, and both riding well. Anyway, there is a law of proportion for the pair to be harmonious. The back of a small rider has less influence on a big horse than the back of a big rider on a big horse. Unless he is a genius, the rider with a big back riding a small horse has, most of the time, too big an influence on the horse's mass. The correct dressage, of course, must refine the horse. But to practice subtle equitation, one must have a sensitive horse. Unfortunately, it's not the prerogative of the present day so-called dressage competition. Elsie, sorry about that. The stride develops also with good training of the horse. But if the horse has natural stride from the beginning, the result will be better. I'm sure that a great pianist can make bad pianos sound good. But on an appropriate one, his interpretation will have another class and another beauty. So that's us for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Umo's standing here, not quite in shot, but he's standing here listening anyway. So I look forward to see you next week for chapter 2 of Breaking in a Young Horse. Of course, we don't say breaking anymore. That's starting, but probably when this was written, it was the normal term or something to do with the translation. Anyway, thank you for your time joining me today. Keep tuning into the light, and I'll see you next time.